All right, our last story for today's show is going to be a little close to home. This is about the Georgia Secretary of State, Raffensperger. This is a tweet that I randomly ran across, and at the point that you're watching this may be like widespread known, and all kinds of platforms and hosts and folks talking about it. But I'm going to go ahead and run through it real quick because I just ran across it. And again, it's close to home because I am here in Georgia. This was shared by Kylie Jane Kramer. Georgia election interference alert. Uh-oh. The Georgia Secretary of State is up to no good and gearing up to go after the Georgia State Election Board members and others not willing to certify the election and or those willing to shine the light on any potential fraud in this election. So let me stop right there. We've already seen instances, and you can go back to our show this past Saturday on Off the Rails where we were talking about that. There are 4 or 5 states already having some kind of issues with voting. Georgia was one of them. I want to say it was Whitfield County, and Marjorie Taylor Greene called it out. But votes were flipping from Trump to Kamala on this particular machine. And they even tested it out, and it kept doing it every time. They had to like decommission that machine or something. Tennessee, there were some issues. Texas, there were some. I mean, they're seeing issues across the board, and it's very questionable already. So if you do see something, Sean over at Third Relify posted this on Twitter, and he's spot on. If you see something, go ahead and document it right now. Film it, take a picture of it, do something. If it's, online here, way back it, just something. We need to be documenting stuff now so we can stand by it later on if things get really fishy. You know what I'm saying? So again, this is getting called out ahead of time, and I appreciate that. And I'm going to stay on this story because it is something I can actually stay on, I think. Okay, Raffensperger sent an email in a private capacity that went to a listserv of trial lawyers across Georgia soliciting $5 million by November 1st to help in his effort for a 501c4 called Election Defense Fund, asking lawyers to donate or contact him via his private Gmail account and personal cell phone number. In this email, Raffensperger states Election Defense Fund Inc. is a 501c4 dedicated to protecting this year's election results and standing up against those who attempt to delay certification. EDF will identify local election officials who are most likely to not certify or otherwise attempt to interfere with results. Election deniers and conspiracy theorists have taken their anger to new levels, employing a variety of tactics, including intimidation, legal challenges, and rule changes. I don't think of what was just said there's anything wrong. One, with questioning the legitimacy of an election, and 2, if you have enough evidence, making it a legal matter, challenging it legally. I think that is one of the most American things you could do. One of the things we should be doing. When you have a government that doesn't want you to question them, that wants to make it more difficult for you to question them, that's a problem. That's a problem. And they try to shut you down. That's a problem. We should have the ability to question our elections here. It says, so Brad Raffensperger in a private capacity is raising funds for a C4 called Election Defense Fund to stop and or go after anyone from who will not immediately certify the election and or pushing back on election fraud in Georgia. He also included a woman named Allison Myers if anyone needed more information. Myers works for the Secretary of State, but also has connections to Larry Hogan and Nikki Haley. When I dug into the Election Defense Fund, I was even more shocked to find Ryan Germany on the board of the C4 EDF organization that was created in October 2023. He is listed as the secretary of EDF, the same Ryan Germany who is supposed to be overseeing the Fulton County election as the auditor. The same Ryan Germany who is involved in the corruption of 2020. Raffensperger specifically targets SEB board members Dr. Jan Johnson Janelle King, and Rick Jeffries for their recent rule changes in this email. In Georgia, they have threatened, harassed, and sued election officials. And as you know, most recently, the Georgia State Election Board was taken over by 3 individuals who have pledged to put partisanship over sworn duty. As early voting is underway with 15 days still to go before Election Day, this is incredibly alarming to have the Georgia Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, involved in any outside organization that is planning to target individuals who find election fraud. Remember, this is his private email, his private number, or personal rather. This is all his personal doings. This is not in his business capacity, in his professional capacity. This is all personal stuff that he's doing. Why? Whether this is legal or not, it is definitely unethical behavior from Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. The election of 2024 is being set up to be a repeat of 2020, only they will have an additional $5 million to go after anyone willing to stand up for election integrity. And then there's the article's information right here. We'll look at a couple of comments, and then we'll get into this other article. Of course, she commented on it. She said, here's the official paperwork from the Secretary of State for the 501c4. So it breaks all that down, shows you the officers and everything. It's insane. Hey, if you got problems, report it. She said she would. And this is, why would hyper-partisan, dark money leftist, poll worker, and election official training operation hiding behind a 501c3 would have Raffy on its advisory board? Odd. Gorgeous but crazy Kerry Washington on there. Crazy Senator Adam Kinzinger. These other dudes, including Brad Raffensperger. I mean, there's a lot of connections being made and pieces of this puzzle being put together that's kind of terrifying here. Again, it should be 100% fine to question your elections, to question your elected officials or officials counting votes and you know, your election results and whatnot. They shouldn't be trying to form mobs to go after you if you question it. This is absolutely an utter ridiculousness. And of course, it's happening in my state, right? So I'll point out something that I think is hypocritical for some people on the right or the left. I'm gonna try to be unbiased here. When Brian Kemp was Secretary of the State before Brad Raffensperger, Brian Kemp ran for governor against Stacey Abrams while being the Secretary of State, meaning that he's over the elections. He did not recuse himself and allow somebody else to head that up. He should have. I called for that. I didn't have a show at the time, but on my social medias, in my personal circles, whatever, I said he should not be doing that. That's wrong. Now, that's me going after a Republican saying they're doing something wrong. Again, I try to call balls and strikes. I try to be fair down the board. Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter to me. Right is right, wrong is wrong. I think he should have stepped aside. Then you got over there with Kari Lake in Arizona. Was it Kristen Sinema, or am I thinking of the wrong one? Whoever it is over there, that she was the Secretary of State running against Kari Lake, and she won. And she didn't recuse herself. She didn't step aside. She didn't let somebody else take over. And the Republicans were upset about that, but I've seen a lot of Republicans kind of silent about the Brian Kemp thing. And I saw a lot of Democrats were very vocal about the Brian Kemp one, but they were very quiet about the one over in Arizona. I am of the mindset that they both should have stepped aside. That this is the kind of crap. The elections shouldn't, look, you should be able to question your elections, but they should be so obviously fair that you shouldn't have to question them. Does that make sense? Like when you're putting foam core up in the windows, blocking people from CNN and watching you count votes, that sets off some red flags. When you see the little chart, y'all know the one that, you know, happening at like 3 a.m, that sets off some alarms. When you see people carrying stuff in and out of the counting areas, carrying coolers or boxes or whatever that they're not supposed to, that sets off some alarms. When you have a president that is running for re-election and gets more votes than he did the first time he ran and still loses, that's something that's never happened before. Not only that, but the other guy running obviously got more than that. The most votes in history. 81 million votes, folks, for Joe Biden. There's a lot of stuff that was very, very questionable, and we should be able to question it. I would love if it was more transparent and we didn't have to question it. We could see everything falling into play like it was supposed to, working like it was supposed to, and we trusted the system. We're at a point we don't trust the system. Why? Because of those kind of questionable things happening, and because people are finally starting to wake up to the mainstream media lying to you, misinformation, disinformation, manipulation of the truth, whatever you want to call it. It is programming. They're out there spreading lies on a regular basis, manipulating the truth, and trying to manipulate how you think and feel about a certain candidate. When you look at the news coverage, I can't tell you a source right off the top of my head, but there are places out there that'll look and evaluate, positive stories versus negative stories of candidates or whatever. It's like 90-something% positive for Kamala, 90-something% negative for Trump. And it was that way when he ran the last 2 times. And that shows you how biased our mainstream media is. That's why channels like this, Third Relify, the Washcast / Spin Cycle, over with Robert, Studio Jake, the Front Porch Conservative, Don't Walk Run Media, or Don't Walk Run Productions, Liberal Hive Mind, The Quartering, Steven Crowder, Dan Bongino. I could probably sit here and go on and on for quite some time, but these channels are important. All these people that you see on the YouTubes and the Rumbles and stuff are important. We're just one more voice in that system that's an opposing voice to what the mainstream media is saying. And we have to fight against that narrative. We have to actually go out and do research. Almost go to the dark web to find the facts because they are so suppressed by Google, AOL, CNN, Facebook, Meta, any of these big conglomerates. They will force and hide everything they can. So you got to go digging. And we do it. We do the homework. My sources are always available in the show notes below. And I will tell you, if you watch any of us, again, all the ones I listed, Crowder, Bongino, me, Third Relify, Front Porch Conservative, Washcast, Spin Cycle, Quartering, Liberal Hive Mind, Don't Walk Run Productions, yada, yada, yada. If you watch any of us and you enjoy what we do, and if you get something out of what we do, it is 100% free for you to hit that subscribe button and help us out. For you to hit that thumbs up button and let us know that you appreciate what we do. I don't know, as I'm talking right now, who will see this. 1 person, 5 people, 200 people, 5,000 people. I have no idea. So if you will help out, if you appreciate it, I'm not even asking you to share it. Just a thumbs up. If you like what we do, sub. Like I said before, if you want to support the channel, I have ways to do that now. Directly. Not through, buying merchandise or whatever from the merch store. Whatnot. You can directly donate to my channel. You can directly donate to a lot of folks' channel. They have some kind of way of doing that. If not, ask them, because that's how this came about. People were asking me. And I appreciate that. But again, we're just these little voices. You guys are what grow us and make us bigger and get us to the level we can actually compete against some of these guys. I mean, we're going to have an election night live stream over on the Washcast. The amount of viewership and the size and the impact that we're going to have is going to pale in comparison to what Steven Crowder does on his channel. And what's beautiful about that is he's going to have viewership that is going to rival CNN, NBC, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, and all those guys. And we could one day get there too. All because of you guys and your support. I'm open to constructive criticism. That's what I want. I don't have to make money. I don't have to make millions. I don't have to make tens. Nothing. I just want to be impactful. I want to make a difference. And I want to try to get as much as fairness as I can out there. Of course, I do have my personal bias, but I'm very upfront about that. But I want to be a net positive. All of these guys that I mentioned want to be net positives. So support us if you can, however you can. Again, a thumbs up and a sub, man, that goes a long way. And I genuinely appreciate that. So again, we're on the march to 1,000 subs on YouTube. We're rock and rolling on Rumble. I'm on all these platforms down here. So, follow me, follow who you appreciate, who you enjoy. And if you keep going back to watch their show over and over and over again, consider giving them a sub. You're already watching them anyway. It doesn't cost you anything. Help a brother out.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out this clip from the Morning Mayhem. Remember, this is just a portion of the full show that comes out every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. If you hadn't already, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the full shows or these tasty little nuggets.